Hey everyone, do you have a list of your favorite movie genres? Like movie genres that sort of define what you're going to expect in the movie. Do you have a list of your favorites? No? Well, I do. And I'm going to share with you, because why not? Starting off is sports genre. Now, before you ask, these pictures I have, I got them off of IMDb. On IMDb, they show off the list of genres, and there's a picture for each one, so I just put that picture here. It's just screenshots from certain movies of the genre. And for this case, we got the movie Moneyball. Now, sports genre is a very nice genre, consisting of, movies that are based around a sport. And while granted, I don't really play any major sports anymore. Like, I used to play a lot of baseball, but after I got off the Little League teams, I just kind of stopped playing sports. I mostly just do them during my own time. But still, they are fun. Some of the best sports movies, for me at least, do come from the baseball ones, since I am obsessed with the sport. So yeah, movies like, Moneyball, The Sandlot, Bad News Bears, all that good stuff, Field of Dreams, even. Baseball movies are fun to watch for me. But even then, some other sports can be fun too with their movies. Rocky, for example, is among one of the best ever, and that's about boxing, which is also a pretty fun sport to watch. And yes, there are a lot of other interesting ones, like there's race car driving in movies like Cars or Rush, if you look in the picture. And actually, there's all the other great sports. There's football, there's soccer, tennis, I guess. All the sports, right? If you play a certain sport, then you should definitely enjoy watching those movies that are based around that sport. And again, I don't play any sports, but I do have a favorite, that being baseball. So if I'm looking for a good sports movie to watch, baseball is usually the big main target of ones I would check out. Of course, horror. Horror is always something interesting to talk about. I've talked about horror movies a lot on this channel, or maybe I feel like I have, but still, yeah, I've watched a lot of horror movies. I remember I had this one friend who I hung out with during my high school and middle school years, and he's obsessed with horror. He definitely was the one who introduced me to most interesting horror movies. Some of the more popular ones, like Alien, Psycho, or Exorcist, those I watched when I saw them. I got introduced to those from my own time. But some of the more rare, smaller horror movies, ones that were kind of left as forgotten or too obscure, he definitely was the one who showed me those. And, I can always thank him for giving me some of that horror vibe that I normally don't see in something so unknown. Still, either way, he definitely was the one to introduce me to a lot of horror movies, but still, there are still a great amount of them that I was able to enjoy when I first saw them. And yes, there are a lot of great ones out there. Horror definitely consists of, scaring yourself or getting scared or whatnot. Now, is there a limit to how scared I can get? Like, is there a horror movie out there that's too scary for me? Well, I think if I had to say it best, there is a certain kind of horror movie that will kind of be too much for me. And that's the ones that have those scenes of gore that are slowed or like shown processingly. Like say the Terrifier movies, for example. I hate to admit it, but I tried to watch the first Terrifier, but I could not get past it because there are scenes that involve a slow, painful process of someone's body getting trimmed up or like and slow processed gore shown in a movie, that stuff I can't do. Okay, I can do quick gore, like I can do a quick gunshot or quick stab, but something that's shown very slowly and kind of gutting out, that stuff I can't really do that well. But still, other than that, every other aspect of a horror movie I can watch, and I do still have fun checking them out. So hopefully the next few horror movies coming out next year will work well. Hopefully some are scary, and of course there will be those that turn out to be awful, but let's hope there's not too many of those. Okay, so many people are divided whether they want to call animation a genre or a form. Because, yeah, in a way, animation is a form, it is a big meaning for movies. Many people look at anime movies and like to separate them from other movies since they're so different and have that fun vibe of animation to them. Now, I agree, yes, animation is a big form. It is more than just a genre. But at the same time, it also is also a genre. Because, yeah, animated movies do have a different vibe from other films because they're animated. There's lots of other stuff you can do with them. Instead of, showing stuff that you have to limit to what kind of technology you have to make them, you can just show whatever you want. All you have to do is animate it. And that creates some more interesting movie ideas shown out. And yeah, that's what makes animation so special. So yeah, maybe I don't want to disrespect it by calling it a genre, but while it is pretty big as a form, it also is a genre, and it is a great one, so I can give it that. I really should be giving animation more respect than there is. I feel like the diversity surrounding more adult movies for animation could be a little better these days. Kind of like how many kids movies we've been getting that are animated. I feel like we kind of need some more adult animated movies out there nowadays. So hopefully we get some more of those. Hopefully animation doesn't just limit itself to what children can watch, because even though children do have a big subject to these movies, they do need to be viewed but with more perspectives. I feel like there needs to be more mature anime movies nowadays. But still, we got a great amount of ones to pick from, and yes, animation is pretty big. As a genre, it's just this one. If we were talking about it for any other case, then I probably would give it a higher ranking. But because this list is about genres, that's kind of where animation just falls at this entry. Of course, this is science fiction. Naturally, science fiction is consisting of one of my favorite movies of all time, or naturally my favorite movie of all time, period, the OG Star Wars films. Now, granted, every Star Wars film holds a special place to me, and while I don't love all the Star Wars films the same, the ones I do love, I incredibly love, and it is still among my favorite franchise ever. Like, that's not something that changes, okay? I don't care if any bad Star Wars project continues to come out. There's still a lot from Star Wars that I love, and I can still consider it such a great franchise to me. But overall, the science fiction genre is really interesting because Star Wars isn't the only one that pulls it off. Granted, it's the best one to pull it off, but what about some other films? Like, how about The Matrix, The Matrix definitely did an interesting thing with sci-fi, kind of giving it some new groundbreaking lengths and making it look much more unique than we saw it before. Science fiction can really be best described whether you're making a movie sort of out of this world. Like, say a movie in space. Those are usually defined as science fiction films. Or, movies that completely break reality. That's what science fiction is. It's movies that are fictional, but in a sort of a scientific manner. Like, it's something that's not realistic, but does have some stuff supporting it. That's kind of what science fiction is. And that's what makes Star Wars so great to me. How it's this entirely different universe that's incredibly separated from the real world. Like, it's not taking place in the real world at all. It's not some Earth thing. It's an entire different world of different galaxies with different kind of characters. And because there's all sorts of unique stuff in this world, that's just what makes it work so well. It doesn't tie into our society. It's just its own completely different universe. And really, that's what makes Star Wars work so well to me. How I can watch it and not think too much about how it compares to the world I live in. Because it's not. It's Star Wars. It's not supposed to relate to us. I mean, granted, you can find some characters to relate to if you wanted, but if you want to talk about the world being similar to your world, then I don't know if you can do that. You could try, but still. Anyway, science fiction is fun because, it's always good to see stuff that isn't real, but at the same time, it does have that spec to it that you could wonder maybe at one point it could be real. And while most science fiction movies haven't really proven too much of their... Sorry, something fell. Anyway, even though many science fiction projects don't usually predict the future incredibly well, there are still those out there that did predict some big aspects in our future. So if movies like Star Wars maybe even do predict something that we will get soon, then it'll certainly be a lot more interesting than it already is. Mystery. Yes, I do love a good mystery. I ain't no detective, but it's always fun to see the ones in movies that there are. Whether the mystery is who killed the man, the mystery is who robbed the place. The mystery is just, who's this guy capable of? Yeah, that's always fun, you know. The best kind of mysteries to me are the ones that sort of narrow it down, you know. When you got a lot of people to pick from it, when you got a lot of motive that you kind of wouldn't think would come from something, and then you find out what it all is, and you're like, shit. Again, I maybe mystery can be sometimes hard to follow with some movies, but the times where I am able to understand how the mystery is handled is what makes it so great in its times. Because even though there are, of course, movies out there that sort of drag on with its mystery and sort of, make it come off as a little too confusing than it should be, a lot of the great mystery movies I've seen really do a great job at kind of showing off sort of what stuff we're supposed to expect, like how we're supposed to understand what's going on and where this is going, what kind of serious case this is. And those are the best kind of mystery movies to me. The ones where I actually understand what is happening. The ones where I know all the cases. Because sometimes mysteries are hard to follow in movies for me. So the ones where I am able to follow it, I really do love the most. Maybe it's just because those are the movies that are the dumbest to me. Like maybe it's just because I have a certain type of intelligence that works with particular films, but I guess because I'm not really a big person in the detective business, I really prefer those movies that make a simple mystery case, one that doesn't make put too many complications in it. Those kind of movies I like the best. So, call me weak, think that maybe that's just me being lazy with understanding something, but it's better to understand than to just watch an entire movie confused. Adventure. Yes, nothing like a good adventure. Honestly, I feel like that's just what every movie I love is, an adventure movie. I feel like all of my favorite movies of all time are adventure films. Because, yeah, that's something I love seeing, an adventure. Lord of the Rings, for example, all three movies follow one big adventure, and they do it spectacularly. Lots of great movies know how to tell a great adventure because, it's an adventure. You got a lot to work from. You got to see a journey that our main characters go through and what kind of journey it is, whether it's getting somewhere or going somewhere bizarre or, just kind of taking new heights. It's always fun to see. I think really, yeah, honestly, adventure should really be higher on this list, but I put it at number five because there are four more genres that hit me a little better. But still, adventure is just amazing to look at. And I think that any movie that I watch that is an adventure film, I think will really strike me probably the best. I'll probably have the most fun with it, maybe. I think maybe adventure is one of those genres that will hint to me that this movie will be something I should have fun with, whether it's for how great it is or for how flawed and bad the movie is. Even if it's a bad adventure film, I still can enjoy what's wrong with it. It's always fun to know what kind of flaws you have with something. That's how you know you got something bad to say. So if there's an adventure in a movie that's flawed, stupid, and not good, then I'll know. Because adventure movies really do stick with me. The same way that most of the other genres on this list stick with me. So I don't really know if there's much else I can say about this genre that I won't say about the other ones. Crime. Honestly, crime is awesome. I'm not saying this because I love committing crimes. Believe me, if I committed crimes, I probably wouldn't be doing YouTube like this. But I do love watching movies where that happens. I love those movies where our focus is on something messed up. I like that, because it's a different take. It's not your hero saves the world or is always respecting what's right. It's those who are completely doing something that's just completely random. And honestly, those are great movies to watch. It's just watching some of the most insane stuff occur, whether it's something that's incredibly violent, incredibly illegal, or just incredibly plain wrong. And crime movies definitely define that. Those movies are always the best ones to watch. The crime films that give us bad guy characters as protagonists, not necessarily evil characters that are supposed to be hateable, but characters who don't always do the right thing and are naturally pretty much everything wrong with the law. They break the law in every way they can. Like Batman, for example, he's a superhero, but at the same time, he is going against the law. Okay, he's hiding in the shadows. He's doing a lot of damage. He's basically one of Gotham's biggest fugitives, apart from the villains, of course. So yeah, even Batman himself is always fun to watch, because even though I know he's trying to save the day, at the same time he is mostly just a dark knight hiding in shadows, and that's always fun to see. And yeah, it's just great with crime stories. The stories that you can see how violent they get, how intense they get, how illegal they get. I always enjoy it. So hopefully the next crime movie I see will be one where I can watch the bad stuff happen in a fun way, because really that's, I think, what makes crime so good for me. Movies that give us such bad motives. Movies that are obviously not trying to teach you a good message, rather telling you what you shouldn't be doing. Oh, action. Honestly, what can I say about action that hasn't already been said before? It's action. It's one of the many things that I will pay attention to in a movie. Really, because, yeah, I'll pay attention to a movie if there's action in it. If there's not action in it, chances of me paying attention to it are a little bit lower. But if the movie does have action in it, then I'll certainly be there to witness it. Any action scene in the movie, I certainly cannot miss. I will always pay attention to a movie when something intense is happening. If I'm paying attention to a movie, it's because there's something intense going on, and most of the time it's because of an action scene. Like adventure, most of my favorite movies of all time are action films, so honestly, this is probably just a big genre that consists of some of my favorite movies ever. If the next movie I watch is an action movie, then I should hope I love it a lot. Otherwise, it failed to impress me. So yeah, because like adventure, action movies are fun to watch, whether it's action that's amazing or action that's not good at all. I mean, I'll love watching movies where the action is so much fun, and I love watching those where the action just looks painfully bad. Because I'm like, wow, they really didn't try that good with this. I cannot like this action, but at the same time, I can still watch it knowing what I'm watching is stupid. But still, yes, the action genre is about as great as the adventure genre, where it makes up the best kind of movies for me. Thriller. And disregard Michael Jackson's song. I was going to make a joke about that song, but nah, I figured I'd just be lame, stupid, so I'm not doing that. Instead, let me talk about what makes this genre so cool. It's suspenseful. One of the things that makes for movies that I will always look to is suspense. If I'm looking for a movie to watch, when I see a movie that's a thriller, I'm like, alright, I gotta see this. Because I'm always for suspense. Like crime, suspense is just what makes the movie so more exciting. It's like, it's something that you normally would get scared of if it happens in the real world. But because it's a movie, you're excited to see it. That's what thriller is. It's a genre it's something that you really get freaked out by, but in a good way when you're watching it as a movie. When you see it in real life, you're just like, oh no, this can't be happening. But when you're seeing it in a movie, you're like, oh man, is this happening right now? Oh, sweet bro. Yeah, thriller just really hits. It doesn't consist of a lot of my favorite movies ever, but it does consist of a lot of movies that I really appreciate, and I feel like there are a lot more thrillers out there I still need to watch, so I think maybe my list of favorite movies will eventually include more thrillers for how many more thriller movies out there I should watch. But for now, even though my all-time favorite movies aren't entirely thrillers, the ones that are pretty amazing for that reason. This genre honestly makes me, okay? I have a lot of personalities, and comedy is one that I certainly work with a lot. So, yeah, if I'm the best thing I can pay attention to in a movie, the one thing that I will always look at in a new light for when I'm watching a movie is a comedy, okay? Any day I will watch a movie to get excited, but for the most part, I might just want to see a movie to laugh for, okay? That's probably one of the big things I'm going to get out of a movie. Okay, that's one thing that will really make the movie worthwhile for me. Even if it's not a comedy, if there's a bit of comedy in, I'm sold. Every comedy film I've seen really was great to pay attention to. I probably pay attention to comedy movies the most out of any other film out there. Maybe animation, close second, but honestly, any movie I saw that's a comedy, I probably remember the more out of other films. Like a lot of action or horror, thriller, crime movies, even. I pay attention to those movies as much as I can, but I don't remember enough about them compared to comedy films. Any comedy movie I've seen recently, I remember pretty well because I was paying attention to them more because I like comedy. Comedy is probably my definitive genre. It's a genre that works for me when I'm watching a movie, and it's a genre that works for me when I want to just be a human. I mean, hopefully I can continue life with my comedy perspective, so we'll see how far that goes. But still, I will always love checking out the movies that have the comedy in them. Because those are, of course, going to be the top movies that I will pay the most attention with. And for that reason, I think comedy will always remain my number one genre, whether it's how it relates to me or how it gets my attention. So now that I'm done rating genres, time to see what other stupid stuff I should be rating. What, you think I should just stick my ratings to movies? I mean, I am, sort of am, but things surrounding them, I want to keep doing that. So I'll be research and see what the next surrounding aspect of movies I will rate. Might be something dumb, but who knows? Just something that can kill time for me.